Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek, and today we're going to talk more about the juice, which is a video that we put up a while back, and it was kind of a short video talking about just what is the juice. And the real Cliff Notes version is when you hear someone say the juice, they're talking about the fact that at a larger auction house, the buyer pays a buyer's commission, and so that is called the juice. And I pretty much took the stance that, well, you shouldn't really count the juice when you're pricing something out. And I had a ton of really great feedback from you all on that. Let me see here. Zeus, 1955, the seller should always assume all the commissions and extras. Okay, it's a little harsh, but yeah, I gotcha. So that's what would be called eBay. Pretty much that's the eBay format where I got to put stuff on eBay and sell it there. And by the way, it's interesting because it's like anything else in life. Your fairness meter depends on which side of the fence you're standing on, right? So if any of you who are collectors sell things on eBay, you know exactly how much eBay is worth hating. You pretty much are out 10% by the time it's all said and done when you're, between your eBay fees and PayPal fees and things like that. So, there's that. So let's see, Michael, I always factor in the juice as a part of the total price, as that's what the buyer thought it was worth, and that's how much they were willing to pay for the coin. I had a lot of people feedback. I'm not a seller, but I think sellers also have to pay some of their own juice at the auction house. We'll get to that. Yeah, so yes, the buyer thought it was worth that plus the juice. And so here's the thing. I kind of rethought this after everyone's comments, and because I bid on things in some national auctions, when I'm buying something, I consider the juice entirely as a part of the cost, right? So if it's $1,000 and I'm going to have to pay $1,200, I know I'm paying $1,200 total. I don't pretend that doesn't exist. I think my bigger point about understanding the auctions and what the extra costs and fees are is you can't guarantee on getting that portion back. So depending on the type of item, if it's something that trades regularly at all over the place, a lot of auction houses, and there's a track record, you kind of have a market price established a little bit. So it's more like buying a house in a subdivision where there's lots and lots of transactions of similar type houses versus buying a house out in the country where, a house hasn't sold in the same area for a few years and the variables are pretty broad. So that would be more like a one-of-a-kind item that you're buying at auction. So in those cases, you kind of have a different viewpoint of what the juice is or what the juice does for the total price of a coin. So I think that I'm going to read some more of your comments here. I'm not a seller, but I think the sellers have to pay their own juice in auction houses as well, right? So it's not just eBay where you pay fees. For the most part, if you consign something to an auction house, you're going to be paying them, depending on the type of auction, probably about 10 or 15% if you don't have a lot of items to consign. I will say that if you consign, a lot of you probably don't know this, if you're a consigner and you are one of these big name auctions and your name is on the label and everything on the book, then you actually probably, not only do you have a zero commissions rate, you probably have a negative commissions rate. So in other words, the auction house says, hey, we're going to give you negative 2% or negative 3%. So if the hammer price is $1 million, you get math after that, $1 million plus the 2% or whatever, and so they're actually giving the seller some of the buyer's commission. But that's really pretty unusual. I don't think myself or many others are going to run into that scenario, but it's educational. It's something that you should know about. All right. I see what you're saying, but the buyer was willing to pay the hammer price plus any fees associated with them. So in my mind, the total price paid is the total price paid. Also, don't forget shipping and handling. I think it all boils down to the difference between a dealer's perspective and the collector's perspective. Good topic. Yeah, that's true. This is, once again, how you look at the juice probably depends on whether you're a buyer or seller. And at any given time that changes, because for everyone who's a buyer now, later you're probably a seller. So, you know, it's good to kind of put the moccasin on the other foot sometimes, right? Jason 888, I don't give business to any company that charges more than 12%. This is what I thought was a really interesting comment because, hey, it's your prerogative. And by the way, there's a lot of companies that are at 15 or 20% now. And you can look at some real major auction houses where it's just like, it's 25%. That's the number, which is really kind of stupid because at some point it hurts the consignor, right? And why this is stupid is because if you're the auction house and you want to get really good consignments, well, if the buyer's going to factor in that 25%, they're going to bid less. And if I'm getting a percentage of the hammer, I'm getting less. So why am I going to consign to your auction house if I'm going to get less money for it? I mean, the whole idea is like, I would like to consign to an auction house where, you know, it's less work for me. I don't have to pay the eBay fees. You know, I don't do the work to sell it on eBay. Like, you know, I want to see upside and potential here, you know. So good comment. And finally, Justin Fleming says, surely it shows us that the sellers are willing to sell at the hammer and the buyers are willing to buy at the hammer plus juice. So immediately after the sale, the sellers and buyers will approach an equivalent sale armed with the historic price info. This may cause sellers to try for a higher price and buyers a lower, but they may settle for something different depending on their total outlook and preference at the time. There will be a subsequent deal if there's an overlap between what the two members of each of these groups want. Really well put. The auction house prices with the juice, it's just a gauge. It's something that we can use as a tool. It is not a set in stone mandatory pricing point. You know, we're all going to look at it differently, whether we're a buyer or seller. I think the big picture is when we talk about auctions, and this is advice I've given before, do not fall in love with the total price that you've seen. And also make sure you're not looking at an outlier. It's really important that you find auction records, like lots of auction records, if you're trying to price a coin. If you only find one auction record for a coin, boy, the real market could be very different. Sometimes in your favor, but sometimes not in your favor. So anyways, so thanks for all your comments about the juice, and this is a really great discussion for us to have on the hobby. Appreciate you watching. I'm Ben, the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.